Greetings. In this video, I'm going to quickly walk you through the steps to complete the assignment for week 4. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so basically what we're going to do in this assignment is we're going to start laying down the foundations for a quick blog site that we'll create throughout the rest of the course. And basically what this site will do will allow us to have basically like a combination of a blogging site and with a kind of a Twitter feel. Basically, it's a simple site that just allows you to go in and make blog postings with a title and then a content of approximately 140 characters. So nice and simple, real easy to do, and great for an introductory class like this. Alright, so here's what I have so far. I've opened up my web browser and I've navigated to the assignment for week 4, and I'm just going to walk through all the steps on creating it here. Alright, so here's what the first thing that I've asked you to do is to go and view the site as it's supposed to look before you submit it for grading. So go ahead and click on to view the QuickBlog site. Okay. And play around with it a little bit. Go to the home page, the register page, the login page, and you'll see that basically you have a main page that just has some content on it, and then you have a register script where you put in some information and then click to sign up, and then we also have a login script where you put in your email address and password. Now, going back to the instructions here, I've asked you to click on register to create a new account and go back and mess around with the form fields. Leave them blank, put in a 2-digit year code, things like that, and take a look and see what the error messages look like. So that'll give you a good idea as how the register page goes and how it kind of operates. And then basically do the same thing for the login page. So for the register page, I'm going to put something like this. I'm going to say that my name is Todd Jamison, and I'll just put in my real date of birth there, agree to the services, and then click sign up, and I get redirected to a welcome page. Okay, I'm going to click back, and I'm going to do some stuff like, for example, I'm going to put in my password and confirm, make them two different things. And what I should see is that my password didn't match my confirmed password. Let's say I don't put in anything and I just click sign up. Well, it's going to tell me to enter my name, my email address, put in my year of birth in a YYYY format, and then things like that. Let's say I put in my year I was born, but I put it as 2000. Then it'll tell me that I have to be 18 to register for the site. So anyways, you just want to play around with the site as it looks in a completed state. That way you'll have an idea of how your stuff is supposed to look. And I'd really like for your pages to operate identically to these before you submit. Even if it's going to be late or anything like that, not a huge deal. I want to make sure that you've mastered the content more so than making sure that you have something in so you can earn some points. Points are pretty much meaningless. What's really meaningful is to make sure that you understand and have a good grasp on what you're doing. That's what I really care about. Alright. Anyways, what you'll want to do to test the login page to make sure that it excuse me, works is to put in the email address wesley@princessbride.org, and the password is all one word, as you wish. And then go ahead and click sign in, and you'll see that you're then forwarded to the welcome page. Okay. Alright, and then again with the login page, kind of screw around with this a little bit and see what sort of error messages you can come up with. Okay. Alright. Next thing I'd like you to do is download the project. Okay. You'll want to put this in your htdocs directory, which I've created a library link, but you can go to C drive, XAMPP, htdocs, and then just save your file. And then if you're using Chrome, you can click the little drop-down menu drop-down box here next to where it says Week 4 assignment, and click Show in Folder. Right-click on the file, and then just do an Extract All, and then hit Extract. Although I think that'll take you into. Let's back up a little bit here. That way I'm going to save you a step. Okay, so right click on your file, go to Extract All, and then where it says Files will be extracted to this folder, just blow out where it says Week 4 assignment, because what's going to happen is we're going to go ahead and create the Week 4 assignment directory anyways when we extract. Okay. And that's on Windows 7. Windows 8's a little different. I'm currently on my work computer this morning, and that has Windows 7 on it. Most of the videos I've shown you have had Windows 8. Doesn't really matter too much, it's just some of the nuances on opening files. Okay, so I have my directory for Week 4 assignment. And now I'm going to go ahead and open up NetBeans, which I've done already. Click the button to open a project. And then I want to select the Week 4 assignment project here. Sorry, I have a lot of projects in here, but this is the one you want, is your Week 4 assignment. Click Open Project. You're going to see several files. You're going to see an index, a login, a register, and a welcome. Let's go ahead and open all 4 pages. And then click on the templates folder and open header and footer. So you should have 6 pages open. Alright, the next thing that we're being asked to do is, excuse me, there are 2 folders that have files underneath them that I want you to completely ignore. Don't make any kind of modifications at all. Don't delete, don't change, don't do anything. That's the CSS folder and the images folder. Again, there's nothing in there that we need to mess with. You have your templates folder, which I had you open up the files in. That contains your header and your footer. Those are currently empty, so you're going to create all the codes in both of those files. You have your root folder, which is right here. It has the index, welcome, and register and login pages. These 4 files, we're just going to make some modifications to them, major modifications to 3 of them, and then the welcome page, just a couple of small things. Okay, so here's what you'll notice when you were looking at the different pages here, the index page, login, register, and welcome. You'll notice that for the most part, they have the same information all the way down to where we have begin changeable content. You'll see even that the in general, I have excuse me, at the top here, I've even prior to handing this out to you, I even defined the title. So basically these files are pretty much identical all the way down to where we say begin changeable content. Okay? This is great because all I really need to do is grab any of these files here along the top. We'll just take the index file and basically cut this section out to where it says begin changeable content right to the end of this comment, and then paste it into that header file. So, well, let's go ahead and do that. So open up index.php and templates header, which I've already done. I did it right at the very beginning. They're all open, they're all ready to go. Okay. I want to select and cut all of that code beginning of the comment, for beginning of the comment and changeable comment to the bottom of the page, and put that into or I'm sorry, here up at the top, the very top, that's right, that was the footer, my mistake. Up at the very top here, I want to take from the beginning of doc type HTML, okay, and I want to copy, or I'm sorry, select where it says begin changeable content all the way to the end of this comment right here. So then cut your code and then go to the header page, select the code that's in there right now, which there isn't anything, it's just an empty file pretty much. So make the file totally empty, then paste. And what you're going to want to make sure to do is this. There should be no spaces at all between the top of this file and the beginning of this doc type tag. If there are any white spaces, remove them, because if they're not gone, we won't be able to render this page properly. Same thing goes for the end of the begin changeable content comment. You want to make sure that there are no white spaces at all after this closing arrow or greater than sign. Okay. Save the header, and we're going to go back in here in a minute, and we're going to turn on output buffering and all here in just a second. But we need to build our footer first. So go back to that index page. Right after you see the comment that says end of changeable content, you'll want to start selecting all the text, all the code from there to the bottom of the file. Cut, overwrite or delete everything that's in the footer file, paste. Make sure that there are no white spaces between the beginning of this div, this closing div here, and the beginning of the file. And go ahead and right click and click format, and that'll kind of clean that up a little bit too. Same thing with the header. Right click, click format, and that'll clean that up too. Okay. Alright, so my header and my footer are done for now. We'll actually come back in and change this. Okay. Now, so we've created our header, we've created our footer, but one of the things that we need to do is make sure that in our header that we turn output buffering on. Okay, so that's at the very top. Again, no white spaces between the beginning of the file and your open PHP tag, and then no white spaces after the closing PHP tag and the doc type. If you don't have this set properly, your code will not render properly. So I'm going to turn on my output buffering. Okay, and in my footer at the very end, after this closing HTML tag, I am going to again create a new PHP tag, and right after the closing HTML tag, no spaces, we'll just do an OBN flush. Okay. Let's just kind of clean this up and format so it looks nice. Okay, so my header and my footer are done, I believe. Let's double check one last time. Alright, yep, that looks good. Header and footer are done. We're going to go ahead and leave them open for now just in case we need to come back and make any modifications. Probably shouldn't, but who knows. Just double check later. Okay, so now we're going to go modify our index page. And first thing we're going to do is right click and then format. We're going to kind of clean things up a little bit here. Okay. Yep. That's one last thing I need to do. Where it says end changeable content, cut that out and paste it right at the beginning of in the footer up at the very top. There we go. Okay, index page. So right now I just have some introductory text, but one thing that I do need to do is we need to set the title and include the header and the footer. So I want to define the title as a constant of title. Okay. as QuickLog. And if you look in Chapter 8, we have a few different things here that we need to do. First, we need to define the title. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to define my title. And what did we have here? It's QuickBlog. Okay. And then we're going to include my header. Okay. So we're just going to include our header, and that's templates header.php. At the very bottom, we're going to include our footer. I'm just going to copy and paste my code here. I'm going to run my project, save my file, run my project, and let's take a look. Oh yeah, there we go. I was just missing my quotes around title. A lot of times you'll use variables and not constants, but I wanted you to do that in this case. Okay, so QuickBlog, my home page works. My other pages are going to show up as well, but my home page is the one that I'm concerned about because it opens the header and the footer. Now I can go back in and break some stuff here just to make sure that it is indeed working like it's supposed to, and you'll see that I just took the T out of footer here, and now I can't open it. Okay, because it didn't exist. Okay, so my index page is done. My login page, again, one thing that we want to do here is we're going to actually do quite a bit here. Right now it's all set up as an individual page like the index page was. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to strip everything out to the beginning of changeable content, get rid of it, okay? And then everything from the beginning of end changeable content all the way down. Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do real quick is this kind of sidesteps some of the instructions a little bit, but this is probably the easiest way that I would do it, is and the instructions are repeated for every file, but you can do this all in one shot now that you've blasted out the index page. Is go into each of the other pages of register and the welcome page and do the same thing. Just blow out everything to the end of the begin changeable content comment, and then everything between starting with the end changeable content and down to the closing HTML tag. Okay. And leave your header and footer alone. Those are actually pretty well done at this point. Okay. Go ahead and format each of the files too. That'll help clean that up a little bit. Okay, save your changes. And then in each page then go through and select at the beginning PHP tag, using what you have in index, go to the beginning PHP tag and define your title and and include your header. Okay, just like that. and then change the title to be quick blog space, and then that's a pipe, and then another space, and then the name of the page. Okay, for each of these. And you can do it exactly like what you have in your instructions too. This is just, for me, this is easier. Okay. Alright, now at the very bottom, you want to go back to index page and then just include your footer at the bottom here. Okay. And we'll have to clean this up a little bit to make it work properly later. But anyways, I have my changes in place where I have the output buffering, or I'm sorry, the setting your title, and then including your header and footer. So that's done for all 4 of the pages at this point. All right, let's go back to this login page. And what you'll notice right now is all that's going on is this. You're just printing out this form for login.php. So what we need to do is we need to change this a little bit. And what we want to check is to see that both the email address and password are entered, and compare what was entered to an email address and password on file. Now later on we're going to actually tie this into a database, but for now we don't really have that capability, so we're going to kind of fake it. So above your form, and just enter your intro text. I want you to set up a handler. If the server request method is post, we want to go ahead and start setting up some things. So here's what we do. Right after let's see, I need to check something real quick, see exactly how I had you do this. Okay, so we're always printing out the sign in up at the top. Okay. So right after where I say print sign in, okay, then we want to check to see if the server request method is post, and don't forget to make sure that you have the equal sign there, that you have 2 of them, so you're not saying that the server request method is post, you're saying that it matches post. This is going to screw a few people up. It always does. You don't want this, because basically what you're doing is you're saying that server request method is post. If you have 2 equal signs, then you're saying that it matches post. Yeah, very, 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 very important. Alright, so if the server request method is post, then we want to set a variable called problem. We want to set it to false. What we're doing is we're tracking for success here. Okay. Next, we're going to check to make sure that our email address and password are not empty. So if they're not empty, then we want to do an str2 lower on the email address and make sure that it is wesley@princessbride.org and that the password is as you wish. If it isn't, we're going to set the problem variable to true. And we're going to print out an error message that says the submitted email address and the password do not match those on file. Now, I've already created a CSS class called error that you'll use if there are error messages. So if either the email address or the password are empty, we're going to set the problem to true and print the following error message that says please enter your email address and password. If there were no problems reported, we're going to forward the user to welcome.php, and if there were problems reported, we're going to just print out the following error message in addition to the ones we've already printed out that says fix the above and try again. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and make sure that the email address and passwords are not empty. So we're gonna say if not empty, $_post email. Okay, because I got that from right here. And we're not empty on the $_post password. So if these two aren't empty, then we're going to do this. Let's see. So if our password and our email address are not empty, then we want to do an str2 lower on the email address and make sure the email address is wesley@princessbride.org. Okay? So we're going to say if str2 lower, and we're looking for email, okay, equals wesley@princessbride.org. And I'll put this on a separate line here. And post password is as you wish. Okay, what do I have here? Alright. Okay, so if your str2 lower post email equals wesley@princessbride.org and your post password equals as you wish, then what we want to do is we want to make sure that if this is the case, we want to let's see. We want to go ahead and do nothing at this point. But if it isn't, then what we want to do is set up else and bark basically, and set. So the first thing we're going to do is this. We're going to say that there's a problem. Okay. We want to set OK is false. Or problem. I'm sorry. No, we want to set OK. Jesus. Problem is true. Okay. And then we want to print out an error message that says please, or the submitted email address and password do not match those on file. Okay. Next thing we want to do is check to see if either the email address or passwords are empty. You want to set the problem to true and print out the following error message. Please enter your email address and password. Okay. So that would be right here at the beginning of my empty. Okay. So if they are empty, either of them are empty, then what we want to do is print out this. We want to say that there's a problem. Okay. And set our problem to true, and then say this. Please enter your email address and password. Okay. And let's go ahead and format what we have here, just to make sure it's nice and clean. Alright, so we've tested to make sure that the email address and the password both match Wesley@princessbride.org, and the password is as you wish. We have told the user that they're to please enter their email address and their password. If no problems are reported, we need to forward the user to welcome.php. Okay, so here's what we're saying. Right here at the very bottom, right before we decide we're going to print out the form if nothing's been submitted, we're going to say this: if there are no if there aren't any problems, then we're just going to set up a header that forwards them off. And you can actually see that on page 225, shows you how to do that. And just go to the welcome script. If there is a problem, then we send out an error message, and we just say please fix the above and try again. And finally, if nothing has been submitted, then all we do is print the form. And finally, we include our footer, and we exit the script. Right click, format this script. So it all looks good. Okay. Let's give it a shot. Let's go ahead and run this guy. Yep. A couple little typos there, no big deal. We'll just fix those up. Undefined constant problem. Alright, looks like my welcome page is missing something here. Yep, just had a little typo in there I had to fix. Okay. Yay. Alright, login script is done. The next one to do quickly is the register script. So let's go ahead and get started on that one. Alright. So my register page, there's quite a bit to do on this one. Here's the first thing that I want to do, is this. So I've added my header and my footer, and I've defined my title already. I did that earlier. Here's what I want to do now. Right after the introductory text, there's a closing PHP tag. I need to blow that out because I'm going to just print out this form later. Okay, so removing all the HTML, old HTML stuff that we had in here, and I have a form that's being printed by PHP at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and build the skeleton of the stuff that I know I'm going to need to do, because I just did it in the login file. So I'm going to go back to my login page. I'm going to say, if my server request method is post, do the success tracking problem is false. Okay? I'm going to copy that code. I'm going to place it right here in my register script. Right after where I print this form, I'm going to go ahead and do a closing curly. Okay? And then right above print, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say else, okay, print the form. Because I know I'm going to have to do this later, so setting up the skeleton here really helps me. Okay, so I'm saying if server request method is post, then do all this stuff, else print the form. Okay. So by default, I'm always going to print the form here if somebody hasn't posted anything yet. Okay. Okay, so the register page. If your name is empty, okay, if empty, that's my first one that I'm checking. If my name is empty, then I'm going to set problem to true. Okay. And then I'm going to print out an error message that says please enter your name. Okay. If the email is empty, I'm going to say please enter your email address. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this code that I just made for name, and I'm going to change name to email. And instead of please enter your name, I'm going to say please enter your email address. Okay. Next thing I'm going to check is to make sure that their password and confirm match. Okay. Copy my code. I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to say if my post password and my equals my post confirm, then I'm going to set the problem to true. So I'm going to say if my post password does not match the thing here. Let's see exactly how I had that set up for you, because there are like 10 different ways to do it. So I'm going to say if post password does not, that's the easiest way to do it. I don't know why I didn't do that the first time. If your post password does not match your confirm, then I'm going to set a problem to true, and I'm going to tell them that your password did not match your confirm password. Okay. Pretty easy so far. I'm going to check to see if the submitted birth year is in a 4-digit date code. So I'm going to say if your birth year, let's see exactly how I had you do that, because there are multiple ways to do this too. In your text, it's on page, let's see, it's in chapter 6. So we're going to say it's on page 127, and we're going to say that if is numeric, okay, because we want to make sure that it's numeric, that it's 4 digits, right? That it's and that was called year, okay? If is numeric post year, and the string length is 4, okay, which is on page 135, where we're saying is numeric post year and is your string length post year equals to 4. Okay. So if our numeric post year and our string length post year is equal to 4, then what we want to do is do the following. We want to, where are we at here? Submit birth year. If it is not, or if it is not, then we want to print out. We want to say that there's a problem. The problem is true, and then we want to print out an error message. Okay. We want to say, please enter your year of birth in YYYY format. Okay. If it is numeric and the string length is equal to 4, then we want to do a couple of tests here. We want to do a nested conditional. We want to say if your year of birth is greater than 1994, we want to set the problem to true and print out the error message. You must be 18 to register. Okay. So if post year is greater than or equal to 1994, we want to say, we want to say that there's a problem, and then we want to tell them that you must be at least 18 to register. Okay. If no problems are reported, we want to forward the user to welcome.php. Okay, so here's what we do. We want to say if there are no problems, and I'm going to go back to my login page and I'll just grab it from the bottom here. We're just going to send him off to welcome.php, else tell him to fix the above and try again. Just like we did in the login file. Alright, this should be done. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's go to the register page. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and sign up. Please enter your birth in a YYYY format. Okay, so the year I was born isn't quite working like it's supposed to. Let's take a look and see why. Okay. If is numeric post year and the string length is 4. Let's take a look here. Okay. Okay, just had a quick typo there where, so to walk through this as numeric, I just had an extra pair in there after post year, so I pulled that out. But this is what it's supposed to look like, so if you need to pause the screen to see this, you can. Okay, again, little typos, that's why you test things as you go through. And I didn't do that in this case, and it ended up being kind of a little pain in the butt. Okay, so anyways, we're testing the year that we're born. I put that in, and I click sign up. Okay. Okay, last thing we need to do, and this one will only take a couple seconds, and that's the welcome page. And let's see, did that. Okay, yep, because we did this earlier in the walkthrough. I just set up my title, included my header, my footer, stripped out all the HTML code that I don't need, and I'm done. So that is the assignment. And if you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll help you out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.